Okay, so this is my plans overall to schedule for the week. Deals a little bit with when the students are being pulled for library, computers, etc. And also just mentions that on Wednesday, the grade 2 teachers will be visiting period 2, and then I meet with them for one period as well in the afternoon. I think it's last period, so there will be a supply for that one period then. Okay, so on Monday, the provocation is we're going to look a little bit at captions, and I'm going to look at an image and how to make people interested enough to keep reading. That's kind of the idea, so that tying in with what they're doing for their digital stories and stuff, what kind of captions could you do that even if you're recording it, that students would, people would still keep on looking and listening to the book. And then looking at adding them to the communities that are out as well. And then on Tuesday, we're going to look at the roles of helpers in those communities, kind of looking at oral language first so that they can kind of share their ideas later in their writing. The understanding that in all communities, there's always somebody who's playing different helping roles and what those roles are, and they'll match up with our social studies learning goal stuff as well. And then on Wednesday, I'm looking at adding dialogues to the story to share what community members are thinking and feeling. Again, looking at that idea that all stories include a community. So what are the roles of people in it, and looking at using quotation marks and conventions that they can use even if they're typing it as well. On Thursday, there's that big crunch assembly, so there won't be the writer's workshop time because of that, because it takes over those blocks of time. And then on Friday, I'm going to look a little bit at the idea of journal writing, which I think will tie in to some of the narrative stuff that they're doing right now. First, to outline events in any given day. And these could be in the days of our characters, so it could be fictional, as well as, or stories or plays, as well as our own lives too, so nonfiction. So for math this week on Monday, I'm going to look at the idea of explain everything, and it'll be Math Talk Mondays, and I'm going to use an image that will get students thinking about mass and weight, and connect it to our poem on the Raj, and then look at creating furniture in any given room that will support the weight of stuffed animals and the material choices that they use. So it will also tie in with the science piece as well. And then on Tuesday, I want to start looking a bit more at subtraction, and we're going to actually do it with structure building to start. So that look at what we have. Sorry. So getting them to see the impact of subtraction on a design, so that if you're giving so many materials and then so many more are taken away and it's smaller, what's the change in terms of how you arrange those materials and why. So we'll have a little bit of a look at that. On Wednesday, I'm going to change it a bit to an art focus. We're going to look at a group painting. It was one inspired by one of the by the K students that I went to visit the other day, and look at the map that they see in it and the components that need to be added, so there can be some good discussion in terms of creating it together. And then on Thursday, we're going to look at dividing it into equal parts and then having them create frames for each of their parts. So there'll be a nice link to measurement. There's also some patterns that can be added to the frames, and then look at the subtraction as people start taking away components and how many are left, so that they get that idea of what subtraction really means. And then on Friday, I want to look a little bit at our times for our schedule, because now that they're starting to see times a little bit more, adding it, look at the digital times, and just start looking at the analog part as well. Experiment with some different times, and then they can take some photographs that can be added to our schedule, and measurement of the length, so that the size for those photographs are as needed, so that they can start to figure out how big would theirs have to be so that it actually does fit on part of that schedule.